Have you ever eaten something so good that you wanted to be buried with it? Well, today we're doing just that with ancient Egyptian tiger nut cakes. Here on The Time Traveling Chef is where I try my hand at cooking up foods from the past, some surprisingly scrumptious, while others downright disgusting. So follow me back to around 1400 BC to ancient Egypt, and let's make a dish that's supposedly eternally good.
This is Cyprus esculentus, also known as yellow nutsedge, or the tiger nut. In German, it's known as Erdmandel, earth almonds. They're tiny little wrinkled tubers, and the ancient Egyptians revered it for both its medicinal benefits and culinary versatility. The story of tiger nut cakes takes us to the necropolis of Thebes, where in the Valley of Nobles lies the tomb of Rekhmire, who was a prominent official and vizier during the reign of Tuthmose III and Amenhotep II in the 18th Dynasty. Now here, the inscriptions left behind show the making of tiger nut cakes. Here in the tomb of Rekhmire is inscribed one of the best preserved quote-unquote recipes of ancient Egypt, that of tiger nut cake. While we have uncovered a wealth of information about ancient Egyptian life, from inscriptions, tomb paintings, and other artifacts, specific culinary recipes were not typically documented in the same detailed manner as religious or royal texts. Additionally, perishable materials like papyrus, which may have held such recipes, have often decayed over time, leaving gaps in our understanding of everyday ancient Egyptian cuisine. But in this one rare case, what was left behind are many clues as to how this ancient dish was not only made, but also how it was probably served. Ancient Egyptian breads came in a variety of shapes and sizes, and often a loaf of bread in the shape of a cone or a pyramid was made for sacrificial offerings. Here's an example of a conical shaped bread mold that can be found at the McLean Museum in Scotland. Food offerings to the dead were an integral part of ancient Egyptian funerary customs. Egyptians believed that the afterlife was a mirror of life on earth, and that the deceased would need sustenance to maintain their ka, which was the vital essence or spirit of a person that remained after death. Fast forward to modern times, and you can see that the recipe for tiger nut cake is still kind of around, just slightly evolved. In West Africa, we encounter dakwa'aya, a culinary descendant of the tiger nut cake. This delicacy, rich with peanuts, peppers, and spices, echoes its Egyptian origins. From the majestic Nile to the bustling markets of West Africa, the odyssey of the tiger nut cake reminds us of our shared culinary heritage, intertwined through millennia. I wanted to make this recipe as accurate as possible, so I dove into the books. And very quickly I realized I have no idea what I'm doing. So even though I was warned not to do this, I still figured I'd try and grind these up in a food processor. These little tubers are like stones. They just did not grind at all. So I figured I'd try my trusty old magic bullet. And guess what? It worked like a charm. It really turned it into a flour. It was coarse at first, and I just kind of took it, shook it up, threw it back in, and eventually it was very fine. Now to put all this flour into a bowl and set it aside, time to melt the fats. I'm using butter here. The fact is, nobody really knows what fat they actually used, and butter, it makes it better, so why not? In about 30 seconds, that butter's melted, and we can add it to the ground tiger nut. So here's the thing. After adding half a stick of melted butter, I'm stirring this up and realizing it's not enough. So in goes another half stick. All in all, there's a full stick of butter in there, so this can't be too bad. Adding a bunch of honey. Again, there's no measurements for anything here. Everything I'm doing is just based off of looks and feel. Does it look like it can make a batter? Yeah. I'm toasting this up, just mixing her around, making sure that it doesn't burn. And then once I feel like it's quote-unquote cooked, I'm going to take it out and form it into some cool little cones. Doing this with my hands was not the first way I tried. I actually tried to make a mold with tin foil, but that failed miserably. This ended up working quite well, so I'd say use your hands. Now on to making the date sauce that's going to go on top. I'm just emptying a bunch of dates into a bowl. I'm going to add some hot water to them and let them steep. Now, dates are really one of my favorite snacks. Truly nature's candy. So I let this sit and steep for about 1 hour. Mainly, I just want that water to cool down because you don't ever want to put hot water or any hot liquid into a magic bullet and blend it. I have learned that the very hard way, as it will explode. But everything's cool now, so nothing tragic is going to happen. So just adding the dates, the reserved liquid, throwing it into the magic bullet, blending it up as smooth as I possibly can. I'm not going to take the time to pass it through a mesh strainer or a cheesecloth. To me, if there are any chunks, if there is a little bit of texture, I kind of like that. And for some added sweetness, I'm adding some honey, and that will also help it stick to the tiger nut cakes. I was really trying to figure out the best way that I could cover these with this sauce, and I thought about dipping it in, but with a little bit of risk of them breaking, so I chose to just pour it over and smear it all over like I'm icing cake. Time to try it out.
Ancient Egyptian tiger nut cake. Let's give this a try. Thousands of years ago, they were eating this. So, it's by far the oldest thing that I've made. I don't even know how to eat it. I'm just choosing a spoon, and I guess I'll start from the top. Let's see here. Okay. With a knife and a spoon, I'll try and slice it down from the top. This is really interesting. It's not what I expected. I expected it to be a lot more gritty, like almond flour. It has that nuttiness to it, but it's sweeter. Not just from the honey. The tiger nuts themselves are fairly sweet. This is really nice. It has a flavor. Coffee cake, maybe? The dates are really coming through. The honey is just an added sweetness, but it's got a good flavor. The texture it's not terrible. It's not the best that I've ever had, but it's not terrible. I want you to try this. Come on. What does that taste? Oh, stop. It's not bad. It's good. It's not bad. It's good. Chew. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. It's like the crumbs on top of a coffee cake.
It's the texture, man, for me.
Well, she hates the texture. You probably might not like the texture also, but I don't mind it. Yeah. Okay, the texture's off. But the flavor itself is actually really good. I mean, I'm still going in for it. Ugh. Scoring this one, we're going to split it. Texture 1, flavor 6. Try this out. It's not that difficult to make, and you'll be eating something that is 3,000-4,000 years old.